Good morning, you all. I hope all is well and that you rested well. I have several things on my mind, but the most recent, I should say, is I want us to think about a coin. A coin has two sides. We call it heads or tails, right? So when we have the coin in our hand and we either, what is it? When they flip it, I guess to determine what side plays first, or I don't know. But you all know what I'm talking about. So it's face down, right? And we have to see if it's heads or tails. So when a coin is face down, we can only see one side of it. We can only see one perspective. It's on us to pick up the coin, to turn it over, to see the other side of the coin. So with that, we have to determine, we have our own point of view. We do. Different experiences shape who we are. Different things we learn. Our home environment influences our perspective. But we have to be mindful that even though it's our perspective or our opinion, it's not always the only one. It just never is. There are too many people in the world for there just to be one perspective. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own thoughts of processing things, our own way. And that's okay because God made us unique, which is why we all have our own fingerprints. So we have to, though, be deliberate or willing to consider the other side of the coin, to consider someone else's perspective or opinion. Social media, I believe, has made us even more self-centered as humans, in the sense that we have control over what we post, what we say, what we do. And so because we have that is the autonomy, the right or the freedom to do that, I think it's translated in a negative way to where we think that we have to make other people see our perspective, internalize our perspective, or accept our perspective, but that's not true. If God is love, and the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, goodness, faith, those aren't there 9? I believe there's 9. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, self-control. Against such there is no law. I learned that when I was I think 9 or 10 years old, living overseas in Japan, and probably vacation Bible school or Sunday school. But when we possess those, the fruit of the Spirit, which are characteristics of God and how we should really just walk through life, when we possess that, those are our guiding characteristics, we should say. Because on the other side of it is negativity, division, hate. That's the other side of the coin. Now, if somebody chooses to live in that, that is their prerogative. Just as if someone chooses to live in love and in peace, that's their prerogative, or his or her prerogative. We have to respect each other. Speaking out against people, I believe is it the First Amendment right, where we have the right to free speech? That doesn't mean to be reckless, to tear people down, to be ugly, to literally put our hands on people, to violate people, to take away their basic rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is not what that means. And so we have to do better. We have to do better. We are all here in this space. The next person has just as much of right to live as I do, and vice versa. So it could very well be that you don't want to branch out. Maybe I don't want to branch out to new spaces or new people, and that's my prerogative. But it is not okay to violate someone else's rights, because we are all human. We are humanity. God created us in his vastness. And it's really a testament to how infinite he is. He didn't just create one type of person, one race, one culture. There's so many varying ones, but we were all united under the umbrella of humanity, under the fact that we were created in the image of God. We worship the same God. But I want to say I read a study, it was a little while ago, but I read a study that said Sundays in America are the most segregated days in this country. But if we serve the same God, if we're reading the same Bible, How can that be? Y'all excuse me, that's a railroad. I'm stopping before I head to school to get some hot water and some tea. But we serve the same God. And there's no shadow of turning with him. There are no gray areas in him. We bring the gray areas. So we need to really do some self-reflection. And we need to really allow the word of God to penetrate our hearts. Because God is love. God is not violent. God is not, he doesn't even impose on us. He doesn't make us accept Jesus. He gives us the option. So who are we as mere humans to think that we're above God and that we have a right to do that to people? We know what happened to the individual or the beautiful archangel that did that. He and his cohorts, the other angels, got thrown out of heaven. And now what he's doing, he's a deceiver and an accuser of the brethren. So now what he's doing is he's on his campaign to keep us divided. He's on his campaign to issue his agenda. And he's on mark. He's on point. And he's working every day. So as true children of God, I shouldn't say true, as children of God, what are we doing? What are we doing? How are we drawing people? How are we being used by God in the earthly realm? We serve the same God. Jesus didn't, when he shed his blood, it wasn't blood for that group, then some blood for that group. It was his blood for all of us. And that's what unites us as brothers and sisters in America and across the world. So there are two sides of the coin. We can only see one side at a time. And really we should be prayerful and ask him to show us the other side of that coin, because that will guide us in being compassionate and loving. God is love. God is love. Okay, y'all. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful Wednesday, okay?